Okay, here we are, part 2, and I'm going to continue to go down this little path that I've been going and just modifying it to be the correct cell, and then I'm going to copy everything over. And you can see I'm just making certain that my formulas work. Very good. And finally, the last one is 29. Now that I feel comfortable with that, I'm going to copy everything over. Again, this just allows me not to have to repeat anything. Oops. Let's do that again. Copy function. Oops. Copy, and then I'm going to move everything over. Again, I'm using my daughter's computer, so using her mouse and keypad is always a pain. But anyway, here we are. So the numbers look like they're okay. You're going to run your totals, and I'm going to do that right now. When you do your auto sum feature, you want to make certain that you do not include B. So I'm going to do I'm going to just delete B because I really don't want to include B. Don't want to include. Let me change that. Give me a second. Darn. We don't want a circular motion. It gets to be a pain, and that's fine. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just again sum January through December, and that's going to be helpful. And we're going to just run a total, and we know it's going to come out to 28,000 or 350,000 or 105,000. So this number here is this number here in this column here is just really our checkpoint and what we copied from the annual budget, and this is just making certain that our totals agree. So I'm going to again run my copy function, and I should be made in the shade with my check giving me a validation that my numbers are working. Good. Again, you format these cells to be how you want them to read and how it's easier for folks to read it. However, for the demonstration, I'm not going to get into the particulars about formatting. I think I'm going to leave that to your judgment as to how you want the numbers to look. So we're going to proceed. So the first step we've already completed, and I'm going to go to that screen just to reiterate. First step, we completed our budget. We had actual numbers. We put them in straight down for each one of the categories. We put in our budget. Our budget was a calculation. It's going to be 140% of the actual. In this case, of 350,000 for our budget, and we copied that straight down. We used the formulas that were already contained in this particular template. You can use this. You can actually create your workbook from scratch. It's just that this particular assignment has a lot of little nitty-gritty details, and using the template does help. You don't have to use a template, but I do want the format to be somewhat like this because once we work on the chart, you'll understand what I mean. So that being said, now that we've got all that information done, our next step on the next workbook is to create a monthly. And I'm going to change my worksheet name to say monthly budget. And now we've got our monthly budget. Now what we're going to do at this point is I'm going to do some sum totals. And again, this is just, again, helping readers understand your information. And how we format this information, again, is really personal preference, but I'm just using my this is how I format things kind of thing. I don't really get too technical about it, because I truly think spreadsheets are individual, and so long as you're not breaking any of the rules within the Excel workbook function, I think whatever you decide as far as how it should look is really your personal preference and shouldn't be graded against you. So we're going to run our totals, and we're going to, let's see if we go all the way up. Very good. And I hit enter. So we got our totals by month. Now I'm going to copy this over because it's really just a straight copy function. It's not going to require an absolute value, so we're just going to run it over straight across. And now we've got our budget. We have 888,790. Now again, you're going to have to verify these line by line just to make sure that they're reasonable. I'm just going through the steps so that you know what is expected of you when you're preparing your own worksheet. So the next step then for our worksheet, we create a month by month, and we're going to create a chart. Now, to create a chart, it makes it so much easier when you have numbers in the format that you want to create the chart. I mean, you can use this data without modifying it in any way, but it certainly would be easier to create a chart when you have the information summarized, and then the chart will be created based on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bar chart because I think that's a little easier for people to follow. So what we're going to do is, now that we've got our spreadsheet, I'm going to take this data and I want to show only what I need, and I'm going to create a chart using the operating budget. That's the first chart I'm going to do, and this is going to be the annual number. So I'm going to take this information here. Okay, now this then we're going to insert. Now this steps that I'm taking is going to be a little different because I'm using an older version of of Excel, but don't worry, Excel is Excel. Don't get all upset about that. I'm just using a different version of Excel, but you use the version that you have currently to create the chart. So there might be some variations here and there. So don't really get worried about that. We have so many different versions of Microsoft Excel, so it could very well differ in what steps you follow, but generally it's the same. So I'm going to create a 3D chart, column chart, and let's see what it looks like. I like the way it looks. I really do. But once you get your chart in there, I'm gonna right click because I want to move this. I like the way the chart looks, and I like the grid lines and all that kind of stuff. What I want to do though, I'm going to go to this area here. Oh sheesh, does that silliness. Okay, I'm going to try to, because I want to move the worksheet, the actual chart. The mouse is not easy to move, unfortunately. So let's move it. And I would definitely, you can put minor lines on it. And again, this is about how you want your chart to look. I don't like when it does that. It just irritates. And I don't want this in my way, to be honest with you. Okay. So we've got a chart. It looks fairly okay. I'm going to, this just gives me a hard time because I'm using this information. Now I like the way this looks, but I want to edit it because I don't want it to say series. I just want it to say categories, expense category, and that's what I want it to see in there. Now the other thing I want to also do is let's see what else we want to put on here. We want it to be okay. Now what if you didn't like the way it was done? You can do a switcheroo, just to see how it looks. And again, if you want users to kind of understand what you're looking at, you can make these charts look the way you like. What I'm doing here, I'm going to again go back to editing how it looks because I don't like it saying series 1. I'm just going to say expense category. So this part is going to be truly something that you have to work through to see how you want your data to look. And sometimes you may say the chart type may not be what you like. You might want it to be a bar chart, or you might want it to be a pie. But again, it's about how this individual, and let's change also, add data labels, and we can also change it also to format the series, and we can make it a little bit bigger. We can have full rotation. Again, this is about having it so that the readers can understand what they're actually looking at. And a pie chart should be created in such a way that it speaks for words. It's an extra picture versus having words. And you can change the pie chart to look however you want to look. I'm just doing all these different changes simply just to show you illustration of how you can make your pie chart look. And you can also put it on the side, that kind of thing. We're going to also do one more chart before I close out. This chart is going to be let's see, we did it by category. Let's do another chart, but this time we're going to do it based on the totals, the categories and the totals. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this information here and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it into a different workbook, a different sheet altogether. And I'm going to paste it here if it allows me to move fast enough. There we go. Now the next step I'm going to do is going back to my budget, and I'm only going to put the totals by category. I'm going to put the monthly total. So I'm going to put the months. You'll see what I'm doing in just a second. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put that here. First of all, I'm going to paste it. Oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time moving. Okay, now the first thing here is I'm going to insert a line just so I can separate, insert a row, and then I'm going to copy this information and move it up. You'll see what I'm doing in just a second. I just want this to be a little bit cleaner. So cut, and I'm going to paste it back here. Now we've got the categories. I'm going to make the category spaces a little bit bigger so we can follow it. Now the next thing I'm going to do before we stop is put in the totals for each month. So what I need right now is the totals for each month. So this is the number I'm going to do. If I can just get my baby to work. So I might have to stop here for a second, but I'm going to just copy it and see how far I get. I'm going to put this on pause for just a second because I don't want to, goodness, mouse doesn't work as well. So 1 second and I'll be right back. Now as you're preparing your chart, what you may want to do is extrapolate information from various points of your spreadsheet and use that as a guide to creating your chart. Using your monthly budget might be a good way to start, but again, creating your chart is going to be a lot of playing around. I'm going to create a little easy chart right here just to give you an idea of how you have to play with this, because what you want to, the best thing that you want really is to create a chart that is absolutely easy to read and understand and conveys your message. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to make some changes to it because I want to add data labels to it, and I want to add format plot area. So I want to change some things here, but nothing that you do is going to be wrong or right. It's really more about the goal of any kind of spreadsheet when it's incorporating charts, and that is how can we get this information in a picture format where others can understand really what we're trying to say. And then, so that's really the main point. So I'm going to stop here because I think we've already done our time, but this gives you an idea step by step, as much as I can without overwhelming you, how we can create this budget with a corresponding chart to complete it. And the chart that you use really is going to be something of a matter of judgment of what is the best way to show this information. And I'm not really concerned about that. What I am concerned is to show you for you to provide a chart within your workbook, and that is easy to understand and it is clearly labeled. If you have any questions, you can always ask me, and thank you very much for listening.